Hey guys, Big Dog Beef. So I want to do a quick video today, and I'll try and make it as quick as possible. Of course, when I say quick, Lord only knows how long it's actually going to take. A while back, I was watching different videos online and different competitors and stuff like that, talking about some of the different brands of bullets that they use when they're reloading. So one of them that kept coming up were the idea of black bullets. It used to be like companies like Master Blaster, which is now I think Black Bullets International or something along those lines. Bear Creek, things like that. I did my own research, and basically what a black bullet is one of these right here. Okay? And I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. Basically, it is a moly-coated bullet. So in here is lead covered by this powdering process, which, you know, and when I rub my fingers across it here, okay, nothing comes off. Well, now my hands are probably just dirty in general. So there's no lead residue, that kind of stuff. I'll put a link to their website. They also had a couple of photos where they took a blowtorch to a bullet and it actually melted the lead inside where the lead came out, but pretty much the coating, this shell, was actually still intact. So I thought, you know what, I want to give these a try because it's my understanding that their ballistics are very much like lead, okay, without the mess of lead and all the extra smoke. So it's my understanding, basically, it's a lead bullet with less smoke, and I thought, well, that's nice because, you know, I like lead bullets to a point. I don't like the smoke that goes with them, which is why when I'm shooting, I'm usually using my plated bullets. Okay, so I went online, I ordered a 250. I plan on loading these up and giving them a try. I'm a little concerned because my buddy Trevor over at the neutered 10mm had these same bullets, and when he fired off, I don't know, 100 to 200, I think around 100. He ended up pulling the barrel on his M&P, and it was all leaded up. It was full. It had melted lead. Now, my understanding is that these are not supposed to do that. Okay, that's the whole point of these, is that it doesn't do that. So, in doing the research, and I apologize, I just belched right there and just had lunch. After I ordered them, and I did the research kind of beforehand, but I really didn't go in depth to the point, or didn't really think much of it. So here is what, you know what, hang on, before I go over the reloading tips, let me show you something here, because I just wanted to show one of the things that Trevor came up with. Oh, geez. One of the things that Trevor noticed was, or what he thinks actually happened, was that the coating came off and then melted in the barrel when it got too hot. And he did a comparison between these and the width of, like, I think his Rainier bullets, and he thinks that this was just a little bit wider. Well, it's my understanding that normal lead bullets are actually a 10,000th of an inch wider than your regular plated or jacketed bullets. So I got my calipers here, and ooh, I think I need to change the battery on these. Okay, zeroed them out. Here is the Precision Bullets moly-coated black bullet. We're just going to do a quick test. Okay, let me see if I can get that there. Well, you guys can see that or not. It is .4515. Okay, here is a Rogers Better Bullet, hard cast lead. Okay, these are manufactured right here in Pennsylvania, and the width on this is exactly the same, .4515 or .4512 for all intents and purposes. Okay, here's one of the plated bullets that I use, which, are my understanding, is supposed to be a little more narrow. And if you look at that, it is let's see here. There you go. It is the same width as the rest. So from a width standpoint, it shouldn't be an issue. Their reloading tips, which I'll read off for you real fast. This is directly from Precision's website. Make sure to have a good bell on the case so as not to shave off the coating during the seating process. So that means in my powder through an expander die, I need to crank it down a little bit more to give a good bell. I have a slight concern with that because the more bell that you put on a case mouth, the less of a life you have of the case, because you're stretching it more and then it being contracted again when it gets crimped. So you do it again, you know, eventually it's going to weaken the case mouth and you have to throw out the brass. Okay, at some point brass gets weak and you have to throw it out anyway. It's a very soft metal. But the point is that, you know, it's going to lessen the life of that case the more you have to bell the case. Okay, do not seat or crimp bullets in the same die. Use a separate taper crimp die. Well, that's no problem. I do that anyway. We highly recommend Dillon reloading equipment. Well, I don't have a Dillon and I don't have the money to go out and get one, so we're just going to have to skip over that one. Do not use a roll crimp. Okay, that is pretty much, unless, I mean, if I was loading my 38s, you know, that I could understand. You know, because you need a roll crimp for a 38 normally to fit in the candelore. But I'm not. I'm doing 45, so a straight taper crimp should work just fine. Here's where we run into a problem. Do not use Lee factory taper crimp dies. Well, technically, I don't have a Lee factory taper crimp die. I have a Lee factory crimp die, but I'm sure it's the exact same thing. So now we run into a problem. And this may be where Trevor at the Neuter 10mm ran into the same problem. He uses Hornady for his reloading, but he uses Lee dies. And I know that he uses the seating die and he uses the factory crimp die. So maybe that's where Trevor ran into a bit of an issue as well, because we both are using kind of the same equipment in that respect. Let's see. The Lee factory taper crimp die will undersize the bullets, causing accuracy and fouling problems. Okay, now I'm starting to get a little bit worried here. And most of the time a heavier crimp will work better. So it says don't use the Lee factory taper crimp die because it'll undersize the bullets, but use a heavy crimp. Kind of seems mutually exclusive. Okay, so I loaded up a dummy round with using one of these, and get back in there. And I'm going to try and show you this as best as possible. Now, even though we've gone through all of this information, I still plan on loading these up and giving them a try. I don't plan on shooting them out of my competition gun right now because I really don't feel like screwing up that barrel, because that's the gun I use most often. I'll probably use my 1911, because the good news is that if something should happen where the barrel gets leaded and I can't use it for whatever reason, I have time to clean it, or I actually can go out and get a new barrel, because it's 1911 and they're more or less universal. So here's the dummy round that I loaded. I actually loaded it up and I extracted it from I used my bullet puller and pulled it out. So here is a couple of problems I already found. Okay, look closely right there. See those little notches? That's actually from the bullet puller. When I was hammering it, it left that indentation. And I wasn't even hitting it that hard. Now look below it. You see where it's been scored? See the bottom there? That is the coating coming off of the bullet. So if I was to fire this one as it stands, most likely it would leave lead in my barrel. For me, that's kind of unacceptable. Now, the reason why a bullet like this, when you take off the coating, will lead the barrel is because the lead that they're using underneath is swaged. And I hope I'm pronouncing that. I don't think it's swagged. I think it's swaged lead. Swaged lead is soft lead. I mean, like I said, look at the indentations. I mean, and that was just from the bullet puller. I was going to get it for you, but that's just from the bullet puller and me, again, hammering it to get the bullet out. I wasn't hitting that hard. I wasn't hitting that much to make that indentation. Okay? If I did the same thing on one of my cast bullets, that's not going to happen. Okay? So, because this is cast lead is harder than swaged lead. So a bullet like this, yeah, is going to produce a lot of smoke because of the lube and all that kind of stuff, as that's normal. But here's the thing. This bullet here is not going to lead and foul my barrel. Okay? This one here, the second I take this coating off, like it's already happening now, this could melt and leave lead in the barrel. So I'm going to have to be very careful with these. And I think I'm going to have to do some testing before I actually load real rounds to fire. I need to make sure that I have the right crimp. I'm going to have to get to a point where I have to load several dummy rounds so that when I pull it, I don't see any of this. Because I don't want my barrels all leaded up. I did a price comparison. So let me, alright, ready? Let's do this here. I'm going to get out my little table out here. Let's zoom you guys in a tad. Okay, now, alright, cast lead. Alright, Precision Bullets, moly coated. And Xtreme Bullets, plated. All semi-wad cutters, all 200 grain. These three bullets all lined up. Okay, there's a reason I put them in this order. This one here gives you the most smoke. This one here gives you a little bit less. This one gives you the least. Now again, this also depends on the amount of powder you use and what type of powder. I didn't print it out, but when you're using the Precision Bullet, they actually have recommendations of what powders not to use. So again, I'm really rethinking this whole thing of, you know, should I have wasted my money? Not sure. Okay, point is, every one of these are 200 grain. Okay? Every one of these are a semi-wad cutter, and they're all in 45. Okay, so they're all the same, exactly the same. I did a quick price comparison. Here's what we got. I'm going to take and put these in order of price, highest to lowest. Okay? Now this is for, I believe, 500 rounds. 500 bullets. Okay? The most expensive of these three, okay, once again right here. So we're going to go highest to lowest. This will be the most expensive, least expensive. Okay? So let's do that. Okay? And then let's do this. There you go. There's your prices. For 500 rounds of the Precision Bullets, for this black coating, $70. For 500 rounds of the Xtreme plated, $57. For one of these, the hard cast lead from Rogers Better Bullets, $41. Okay, and just to mention it, that if I was to order hard cast lead from Xtreme that makes the plated, that would be at $51. So, first of all, if I'm going to go hard cast lead, I'll go Rogers any day of the week, mostly because I can drive to their location in 30 minutes, and I can go pick them up for myself. Personally, I prefer the plated because of the less smoke. Now again, $70, okay, $57, $41. I honestly, just based on price, and again, I picked this up to do some testing, based on price, I don't see a benefit to these. I mean, if you have to follow all these rules to actually make them do what they're supposed to do, it doesn't really seem worth it. Does this mean I got to go and change all my powders? You know, I got to change the way I make everything? If that's the case, I'll deal with a little extra smoke. And I'll stick with the hard cast lead. Because the hard cast lead, actually, in my opinion, has less of a chance of actually leading my barrel than this one does right here. these promise, you know, if done correctly, to reduce fouling and leading. Well, that's great. If you're using other swaged bullets, well, I'm not. I'm using hard cast lead. Hard cast lead doesn't really foul or lead, because this stuff doesn't really melt that easily. So, and again, you know, I do prefer my plated, especially because when I shoot indoors or something like that, you know, especially here in the wintertime in Pennsylvania, there's a bunch of snow on the ground right now, you know, shooting lead indoors sometimes isn't allowed. And, you know, it's just being courteous to other people to not have all that smoke in the air, so you want to shoot plated. Anyway, the point is, I'm still, just because I'm a little dissuaded by what I have to go through for these black bullets, for these precision bullets, doesn't mean I'm not going to give them a try. Okay? I will definitely give them a try. It's going to be some time before I have a chance to do that, but when I do, I will definitely report back and let everyone know what I found out. Some people swear by these. Right now, I'm not seeing a cost benefit. I mean, most expensive to least expensive. This is what I currently use. This is what I will sometimes use. I mean, you know, I'm certainly not going to throw these out if they don't work right. These can definitely stay as a, best way to stay as a, you know, a backup for when I run out, because right now there's a lot of reloading supplies that are running low. So, again, I know I'm really rambling. I know I said they're going to make this a short video. I apologize, as always. But, again, most expensive, least expensive, based on what I've read, most problems. So, to me, again, I still don't see the cost benefit. Especially if it's more expensive, again, than lead. You get into reloading to help save money. So. Alright guys, that's it. I appreciate everyone watching. At this point, I'm going to load up a bunch of these and I'll get them to the range whenever I can. I mean, honestly, today might not be too bad. It is kind of nice and sunny out, except all the snow on the ground. But, you know what? I got other stuff I got to get done. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I will report back when I have more information on these. And as always, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.